The Tasker Suite provides a great amount of visualization into how people work day to day. As a manager, you may be aware of sending emails out to people, getting responses, opening trouble tickets, running projects, but you probably don't have great visibility into how your people are working every day. With Tasker, which is a work management system, it allows you to both collaborate and visualize that better and get better understanding of how your team is working. So starting with dashboards, we provide an out-of-the-box experience which allows directors, C-level executives, managers to better understand what is going on in their environment. They get real-time data, which is all actionable. So if I see that there are 4 tasks due this week, for example, in my organization, I can actually click on it and look at those 4 tasks. In addition, we start getting metrics and we start looking at predictive analytics where we can look at how much are we doing as an organization? How have we been doing historically? Is this trending upwards? Is this trending downwards? Do I need to think about increasing my staffing levels for certain jobs? How are we adopting this task management system or this work management system as an organization? And which different teams are using it the most? This also helps you plan for things like we know we have a big upgrade coming and customers may be reaching out to us. So how do we handle this? How do we have enough people staffed out to do these jobs? So we try to make it easy to better understand your organization as a whole and to help coordinate different teams who are working together on collaborative tasks. We also have specific dashboards for task managers, right? These are people who are concerned, what's my team or teams doing? Can I stay on top of it? Are there things I need to worry about so I can get it fixed before I get that phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning asking why something is broken? So the dashboards for managers let you gain insight into both your team and maybe multiple teams and what's going on. You can see what's overdue. You can start taking action on these tasks and following up with the people who are working on them. In addition to what we're looking at in this page, which is all actionable real-time data, we have the ability to add in additional reports, which we have created for end users, allowing them to add them to the dashboards easily to make sure that you're getting the data you need to effectively manage your teams. Beyond these 2 dashboards, we also have a task administration dashboard. That's for people who are responsible for the care and feeding of the task management solution, as well as an individual dashboard written for end users who want to make sure that they're on top of their work. So the Tasker Suite was built for collaborative work management. From business users to executives, the idea was to provide an easy to use mechanism to allow people to better do their work, gain visibility, and understand what's going on in the organization, and being able to fix choke points. So as an end user, when I log into the Tasker portal, I immediately am seeing data which is relevant to me, right? I can see the tasks which I still have yet to complete, whether it's my own task assigned to me or whether it's reviewing something I asked somebody else to do. We often compare ourselves to email, which is generally used by the vast majority of people for tasking. And while email is a great tool, it is lacking a great deal. So if I'm getting 200 emails a day, how do I keep track of that? How do I keep track of the thing I was asked to do 2 weeks ago, which I couldn't do? Do I have an elaborate inbox system where I'm filing all of my different emails into done, need to do, will do? Do I copy and paste out of emails into an Excel sheet to track it to make sure I don't drop the ball? Or do I just accept the fact that some things I'm going to forget to do and not get done until I get yelled at? Well, with Tasker, it's much easier to look at the things which are still in your queue and to focus on the stuff you have to do and to sort it, whether it's by priority or any other due date. In addition, because of this visibility, if I'm asking other people to do something, I'm actually able to look at the state of the things I've asked other people to do. So instead of sending an email to someone saying, hey, Jennifer, can you go do this for me? And then I'm not sure if she's read it. I don't know if she's working on it. I don't know what's going on unless I follow up with yet another email. With our system, you're actually able to check the state, and then you can follow up on the people who haven't read it and who haven't accepted it and who aren't working on it. But we also wanted to provide a higher level overview for managers who are less concerned with what do I as an individual need to do and are more concerned with, is my team on top of everything? So we created a different button here, which takes you into a management overview, and it shifts the view. So now instead of looking at my open tasks, I'm looking at the open tasks for everyone in my team. And I can see what's overdue, and I can start actively tracking the work management of my whole team or teams. But what is tasking? So sometimes it's correspondence, sometimes it's requests, sometimes it's orders, but it has to be easy. The vast majority of people today, as I said, are using email as their primary tasking mechanism. A few others might be using project management tools, but it's not simple. People like email because it's simple. So when we create a new task, we wanted it to be simple too. Well, we have different types of tasks which come out of the box, whether it's an approval or concurrence. And we even have the ability to create advanced tasks out of the box. Generally, we want something which is about as easy as an email. So in this case, I'm going to task my colleague Joari, right? Please send me the latest hiring policy document for review and signature. This is pretty standard in a lot of different offices throughout both the federal government and in the commercial space. We need to create documents, we need to work together on them, and we certainly sometimes need to sign them. So instead of a subject line, I give it a task name. I set my suspense date. When do I need this done by? And I can categorize this or prioritize it. Now, categorization is useful both for looking at the types of work we're doing, but it's particularly key if we go back to those dashboards we looked at earlier, where we want to see what types of tasks are we doing and what types of work are people doing. And then we can prioritize this to help our colleagues and help ourselves understand what's going on. And then what we need to do is simply assign it to someone and give them some instructions. In this case, it's very simple. Please send me this latest hiring policy document, which I know she created, so I can review it, and if I like it, sign it. And then I just hit create task. And this takes me into a different view of a created task. Now, Joaria, my colleague, she's going to get an email because while we talk about getting out of email, being integrated with email is great, particularly for people who aren't living in the Tasker system. And right here in this page, we can see that I'm logged in as Joaria. And we have a task up at the top called please send me the latest hiring policy document. This is what I just sent to her. But in addition, she'll get an email saying, Joaria, you've been assigned a task. It'll have a link in that email. And when she clicks on it, she'll come in and she'll see her task, including a set of instructions. So for her, it's very easy, right? She needs to attach a document. Well, what we have here in shared documents is our other product called Doc Integrator. And this allows for seamless integration into SharePoint. A lot of our users, customers, end up using SharePoint or use SharePoint in the first place, and they need to continue using it, but they get a little bit frustrated by how hard it is to find things in SharePoint, how hard it is to navigate SharePoint. It's very powerful, but it's not always the easiest user interface. In this case, with Doc Integrator, you can leverage all the power of SharePoint without ever leaving the ServiceNow experience. So if this document we're looking for, this hiring document she's looking for, is inside SharePoint, she can actually come in and from ServiceNow, search SharePoint. And to be clear, she's only searching the things she, Joaria, has access to inside SharePoint. So if she looked for an invoice, for example, it would search all the files she was able to access. It would look inside the Word documents, it would look at titles, and then she'd be able to link this document back to that task. So if we're looking at this task now, we can see here's the customer invoice. Now, I just want to emphasize, this is not an attachment. This document still lives in SharePoint. This is just a reference to that document. If I open it up, it pops it open. At the same time, if she has a document she was working on locally, and she hasn't yet uploaded it to SharePoint, she can also just come in, choose that file from her disk, the hiring policy review, and upload it. Now, in this case, she just uploaded it straight into SharePoint without it ever touching ServiceNow and referenced it back. And so that's it. She gave me that hiring policy review that I asked for. And so she can now send this for me to review, saying, I've attached what you asked for. And she's finished. She can go back about her business. Now, switching back over to me, Adam, we can already see that I'm in the same task and that the color has changed. We track, of course, the state of all tasks via color coordination, which is 511 compliant, to make sure it's really easy to understand what's going on. We also see that under shared documents, I now have access to whatever it was she linked into this task. So this hiring policy review is a PDF file which I'm supposed to review. We have a feature in the Tasker suite which allows us to open PDFs in whatever your default PDF viewer is. In my case, it's Adobe Acrobat Reader. It could be DocuSign or anything else you like. So I'm not downloading this document. It's still in SharePoint the whole time. But what happens is I'm allowed to open it up inside a local desktop application. And this lets me read the document. If I decide it's right and I need to sign it, I can come in, I can do digital signatures with PIV or CAT cards for those to whom that's relevant, or anything else on the commercial side. And I can do my digital signature. Signed, right? Here we go. It's encrypted signature. Boom. I close it. It's going to prompt me to check it back in. Signed by Adam. And I'm done. Right? It was that easy. For our customers who end up having to do a lot of digital signatures, this is something which really resonates with them for a quality of life improvement. And if I look at this, it's still the same file, the same 13. All the versioning is being handled by SharePoint. But if I click on that, we can actually see here's it signed by me with today's date just a few seconds ago. It's that easy. And now anybody who's looking at this task is automatically pointed at the latest and greatest signed document. And I don't need to direct people away from the old one. I don't need to re-upload this and remove the old one, share links. It just makes life so easy. But at the same time, this is very simple tasking. This is just comparing us to email. But we really start to shine, and I'll show you in just a moment, when we get into more complex tasks. So Tasker really shines when we start talking about complex tasking, when we start talking about collaborative work management, when it's more than just one person asking somebody else to do something. So I'm going to open up a task which is currently a work in progress to give you guys a better indicator of what it looks like and the power of the tool. And here on the left side is my favorite thing about the Tasker suite. It's the task tree view. This allows you to both visualize everything going on inside a task, and it also lets you manage everything about the task. So looking at this task, which is another document management task, which seems to resonate with an awful lot of people, we can see that up here, I need to create a new hiring policy document. So I'm collaborating with 5 colleagues here. Created a subtask for each of them. They get their work assignments. And what we see is that we have a number of people. So my favorite thing about the Tasker suite is the task tree view. This allows us to visualize everything going on beginning to end inside a task. We can watch it grow, expand. We can manage it from the smallest level to the largest. And it just makes it very easy to visualize what's going on. I will also say that because of our Doc Integrator capabilities, one of the things, particularly with document management, which is what this task is focused on, allows us, because of SharePoint, to collaborate on a single document. So if we look at shared documents here, we have a hiring policy review Word document. And this lives in SharePoint. And because it's in SharePoint, everybody on this task is able to access the same document, simultaneously edit the same document. They can see where everybody else is working so they don't step on each other's toes. And it makes for such a quality of life improvement where you can have a team collaborating on the same document rather than the traditional approaches where one person at a time works on it and sends their changes to the next, or where you have some poor person whose job is to take 5 different documents created by 5 different people and try to collate them into a single text. So here we can see that these 5 people have been asked to collaborate with me on this hiring policy review. And we get a lot of information just looking at the colors, right? We can see that John and Rob are in review. They had their assignments. They think they've finished their assignments. So they've sent it back to me to review their work. I can see here that Catherine's actively working on it. And I see that Joaria again here has accepted her assignment. And I love accepted. Accepted for me is the big game changer between email and Tasker. Because in email, traditionally, if I send you an email saying, hey, can you do something for me? I don't really know if you've read it. I don't know if you're working on it. It just went away. So then I need to send another email maybe a few days later saying, hey, did you get that first one? Are you working on it? With accepted, Joaria is saying, I got it. I'm not working on it right now, but I'm aware of it. It's on my radar. I'll take care of it. And that's great feedback for me. And I can also see that she created 2 subtasks, one to Hugh and one to Colin. And the fundamental difference between us, a collaborative work management system, and workflow is the ad hoc capabilities of tasking. We don't have to plan everything from beginning to end. We have the ability to dynamically add tasks, to reassign tasks, to do whatever we need to do to make something happen. And it also allows for a much better sort of top-down tasking approach, where I, at the top, can task out to my 5 lieutenants actions which I need of them. And that's it. That's all I have to worry about. Then each person who has their sphere of responsibility can say, you know what do I need to do to get this done? And then they can create their own subtasks to people they need help from. And then those people in turn can also create tasks. And it allows for distributed management where the teams who are actually doing the work can control what and how it needs to be done. But the person at the top is still getting the visibility into what is going on and why is this happening. So in this case, we can see Joaria, who is asked to collate a bunch of metrics, has reached out to these 2 colleagues to help put those metrics together. And when they're done, then she'll be able to do her job. And me, as the person who initiated the task, I get to see what's going on. I see that she had to reach out, and I better understand the nature of the business. I can also see down here that we have a task assigned to Ike, which he never accepted. And that gives me immediate feedback. Now I need to follow up and find out, why didn't Ike accept this task? Ike's on vacation, and I find out that Jacqueline's covering for Ike. So what's really nice is I can now just come in here very simply, reassign the task to Jacqueline, and then boom, we see assigned to Jacqueline. Jacqueline gets that email with a link to the task, and she can start covering for Ike while he's gone. And so it's that flexible. And if she wanted to, she could now create some subtasks to bring in other people. And I, as the task manager, get to visualize and understand everything going on in here. Now, what's really great is if this is something I have to do more than once, I can take this task, which might have been created dynamically, and I can save it as a template. And templates are basically tasks that you want to run more than once, that you want to be able to do over and over. But instead of saving this, why don't we go over there and take a look? So entering the template section, we can see that it's broken up into 3 different types of templates. Personal templates, which are things I create for myself to help me manage my own work and to automate my own processes. OU templates, which are templates created for my team where we can collaborate together. And then global templates, which are organization-wide templates. If we look at these, for example, this document review, approve, and sign template, it's basically just a task which we can execute on demand over and over and over again. And when we kick it off, we can select run, make any last minute changes we need to before it goes, and then we can either make it go live immediately, or we can generate it as a draft. And in a draft state, it will show up waiting. Nobody will be alerted. I can make some changes. I can add some new tasks. I can do whatever I need to do, and then publish it where it goes live, and then everybody starts working. Another nice thing about templates is the ability to schedule it to run automatically. We can come in, we can look at, what are the rules? In fact, I've got a template right here, which runs on the fourth Thursday of November every year. And this allows you for something like, for example, mandatory training, which has to happen every year, or perhaps getting out tasks to remind all of your personnel to complete their timesheets at the end of every week. Being able to schedule it automatically is very nice. These templates, when executed, become regular tasks. So unlike workflow, where it's incredibly fixed and you can't really make any changes once it's executed, when we run a template, it just becomes a living, breathing task where you can still reassign members, you can still create subtasks, and it can still grow organically. This just provides the baseline of whatever work you mean to accomplish, especially when it's iterative or repetitive.